Assalamualaikum and a very good day to everyone and to our lecturer, Madam Dr. Wansatira. So today, our group will be presenting about a case study, Ireland Health Executive Service Ransomware Attack. So without further ado, let's begin our presentation. So this is our team member, consists of four people, which is the first one is me, Atira Danyamiti Anwar, and Kuratunisa, Siti Nur Ali, and Nur Alia. Without further ado, let's start with the introduction of this case study. So what is digital forensics? So imagine a hospital that suddenly get attacked by cyber attack like ransomware. So the whole system can go down and a patient records become accessible. This is where digital forensic comes in. So digital forensic is basically the process of finding, collecting, analyzing, and preserving digital evidence, where it helps organization figure out how the attack happened, who did it, and how to fix the system. So one really important rule is that change of custody. Think of it like a digital fingerprint trail that makes sure the evidence hasn't been tampered with. And digital forensic isn't just about a computer, where it covers networks, mobile device, and cloud system, and even IoT device. So whether it has a laptop, a server, or a smart device, investigator can track down exactly what happened. In short, digital forensic is like a detective for a digital world, while it helps organizations investigate, recover, and strengthen their system to prevent for the future attacks. So now let's take a look at the categories of digital forensics. So the first one, we have a computer forensics. So this is when the investigator look at the hard drive and files to find out how an attack started. So for example, in some ransomware cases, they can see which computer got affected first. Then there is network forensics. It's like I mentioned earlier, aggregation. Network is like a city with many roads. So network forensic tracks how the attacks move through the networks, looking at the traffic log and also the suspicious activity. Next is the mobile device forensics. So these days, our phone and tablets carry a lot of personal and work information. So investigator can recover message, call logs, and also app data that might help solve the case. Then there is also malware forensic, where this is all about studying how the attackers' tools like the virus, spyware, also the ransomware, which is to understand how they work and how to protect against them. Finally, the cloud forensic, which is the investigate evidence store in the cloud platform, which is a very important tools in healthcare system. Each type of different tools and method, but together they helps the organization investigate the attacks, recover the system, and more importantly, improve the cybersecurity.
I'm Kratinisa and I will continue with the 2.0, which is the background of the case. So I will explain the context of the case involving the ransomware attack on Ireland Health Service Executive, which also known as HSE. So in May 2021, Ireland HSE, which is the main public healthcare provider in the country, has suffered a major ransomware attack that disrupted the healthcare services nationwide. So HSE has operates thousands of locations, including hospital, clinics, and administrative office, and it has managed a lot of devices across the country. So the cyber attack has occurred during a critical phase of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has increased its impact on society and also healthcare delivery at the time. As a result of the attack, the HSE was forced to shut down its IT system nationwide to prevent a further spread of the malware. So the incident has exposed serious weakness in cybersecurity readiness, which is including poor system monitoring, lack of centralized governance, and also insufficient response to early warning signs. So, from the incident, nearly 80% of the HSE system were encrypted, which forcing the hospital to revert to manual and paper-based procedure, which leading to appointment cancellations and also delays in patient care. So this case has highlighted the risk of human behavior, weak information governance, and also inadequate of cybersecurity planning in large and also interconnected healthcare system. Moving on to section 2.2, so we will discuss the nature of the incident and the digital evidence that involved in the case. So the attack was carried out using counter-ransomware, which is a highly sophisticated and fast-spreading malware that linked to an organized cybercriminal group, which known as Wizard Spider. So this group is known for targeting critical infrastructure, which especially highlighting the healthcare system to increase the pressure on victims to pay ransom. So the attackers has initially gained the access through phishing emails, which led to the compromise of a workstation, which is referred as the patient zero, and they also has exploited weaknesses in access control and has used malware tools such as Trickbot and Covert Strike to move laterally across the HSE network at the time. So before launching the ransomware, the attackers has spent weeks conducting the surveillance across the network, browsing directories, accessing to domain controllers, and also filtrating sensitive data. So from a digital forensic perspective, several key types of evidence were identified later on, which is antivirus and endpoint alerts that has warned of malware activities days for the attack, network and server logs, which showing the unauthorized access and file exploration across the network, and several other key evidence such as phishing emails that serve as the initial infection vector, malware binaries that link to the ransomware, also other related tools, and evidence of data exfiltration, which include a large volume of sensitive health and staff data. So this digital evidence was crucial and important in reconstructing the attack, which to understand how the attack spread and also assessing the scale of the compromise of the case. Now we will move on to the section 2.3, which explains the timeline of the incident leading up to the ransomware execution. So the timeline of the attack actually shows that the incident did not happen suddenly, but it developed over several weeks from the initial infection until the final execution. So the initial infection occurred on 18 March when a phishing emails has compromised the first workstation within the HSE network. And by 7 May, the attackers have successfully compromised the HSE servers and began to moving across the system. And then between 8 and also 12 May, multiple hospitals were infiltrated and the attackers were observed browsing folders and also accessing several sensitive files in the servers. On 10 May, however, a suspicious activity was detected by one of the hospitals within the Ireland HSE, but the warning was not escalated effectively. And antivirus providers also has continued to send alerts between 7 and 13 May, which highlight a serious threat such as cobalt strike activity. But unfortunately, these alerts were not acted upon in coordinated manner and do not taken an action immediately. So the attack has reached its peak on 14 May 2021 around 1 a.m. when the counter-ransomware was executed across the HSE network, which encrypting of most of the system nationwide and has bringing the healthcare service to a standstill. So this timeline clearly demonstrated a missed opportunities for the organization to conduct a early intervention, weak coordination, and also delayed response, which allowed the attackers to fully execute the activity of the ransomware attack. Now we will continue with the post-incident timeline, which outlined the following execution on the ransomware on May 14. So at 2:50 a.m., several hospitals has begun to reporting encrypted system, and in response, HSE has immediately shut down all its IT system and disconnect from the national health network. So after that, by May 15, a war room was established to coordinate emergency response, and also the breach was formally reported to the Data Protection Commission. And on May 20, the HSE obtained a High Court injunction to legally restrain from sharing of stolen data from their servers. So a major turning point came on May 21 when the attackers has unexpectedly released a decryption key, which this accelerated recovery efforts by the HSE. So clinical indemnity was also provided to healthcare staff, and a situation center was set up to in City West to further continue with the recovery. And by May 24, a secure recovery protocol has been launched. And on June 14, about 47% of the servers was finally decrypted, and 51% of applications has been restored following the ransomware attack. Finally, by September 21, full technical recovery has been finally achieved, and with 100% of the servers has been decrypted and 99% of applications are able to be restored. So this timeline has reflects both the urgency and complexity of the national level response. So there are 4 key categories of action that has been taken by the HSE and its partners to contain and recover from the attack. So the first one is immediate control measures. So the system was shut down and disconnected from the internet, and the infected system were isolated by the HSE, and then manual operation were introduced to maintain the healthcare services. So the next one is engagement of external cybersecurity experts, which cybersecurity specialists were hired to conduct a further forensic investigation. And these experts also supported national level coordination and also response efforts. The next one is restoration and recovery of critical system, which priority was given to restoring the critical hardware system at the time, and the decryption key provided by the attackers was used to speed up the recovery, and restoration was gradual and also carefully managed to avoid further compromise. And then the long-term cybersecurity improvements, which the HSE has strengthened its cybersecurity governance following the incident, as the incident response planning was improved over time, which system monitoring and controls were also enhanced, and overall national hardware cyber resilience was increased. So this action has demonstrated a layered response, which starting with containment, followed by the recovery, and also ending with systemic reform. Next, we will look at the section 2.5, which is the legal and judicial response according to the incident. So the first one is High Court ruling, which involving the Data Protection Commission and also HSE. So this landmark case has addressed the legal responsibilities of both the Health Service Executive and also Data Protection Commission, DPC, in safeguarding personal data. So the ruling has clarified the of institutional liability under General Data Protection Regulation (GDPR) and reinforced the duty of care owed by the data subjects. It also has emphasized the importance of timely breach notification and also transparent communication between affected individuals. And the second one is large volume of legal claims by the victims. Following the ransomware attack, numerous individuals, especially patients and also the healthcare staff, has filed legal claims which citing emotional distress, privacy violation, and also potential misuse of their sensitive health data. And these claims has highlighted the human impact of the cyber attacks and underlying the need for strong legal frameworks to support the victims' digital harm. And the next one is compensation program. So to address the fallout, the HSE has initiated a compensation mechanism for affected individuals. So this program has aimed to provide financial redress for those whose data has been compromised, which including reimbursement for identity protection service and also legal support. And it also serves as a public acknowledgement for institutional responsibility following the cyber attack. And the fourth one is injunctions and also legal protections. So the HSE has swiftly obtained a high court injunction to prevent the dissemination and sharing of the stolen data. So this legal move was critical in preventing further harm and limiting the spread of sensitive information on dark web platforms. So it also demonstrated the agility of the judicial system in responding to the cyber emergency activity. And then the prosecutorial and enforcement actions. So the Irish law enforcement, including the Garda National Cybercrime Bureau, has launched investigations to trace the attackers and also assess criminal liability. So while attribution to the Conti group was established, international prosecution also remained complex due to jurisdictional challenges. So these actions reinforce Ireland's commitment to cyber justice and also deterrence. And then the regulatory oversight and also policy reform. Beyond the courtroom measures, the incident prompted reviews by regulatory bodies such as the DPC and National Cybersecurity Centre, which these reviews led to policy recommendations on breach reporting, interagency coordination, and minimum cybersecurity standard for public institutions. So together, this legal and judicial response has illustrated a multi-layered approach with balancing the victim support and international accountability and also systemic reform. They also have signaled a shift toward treating the cyber attack not just as a technical failure but as a legal and societal crisis which required a coordinated action being taken immediately.
Next, I will explain about the digital forensics methodologies or frameworks. So the purpose is to identify the most suitable approach to guide a structured and legally defensive forensics analysis. So they have three challenges, which are large-scale digital infrastructure, cross-agency coordination, and sensitive head records. So for the most suitable alternative to evaluate the context of the HSE cyber incident is EIDIP, extension of IDIP, to incorporating traceback and dynamite faces, enabling investigators to trace the original of the attack across the network. So for HSE, this is a very relevant attack. Involve external threat actors and international cybercrime elements. Next, I will explain about the digital forensics methodologies or frameworks. So the purpose is to identify the most suitable approach to guide a structured and legally defensive forensics analysis. So they have three challenges, which are large-scale digital infrastructure, cross-agency coordination, and sensitive head records. So for the most suitable alternative to evaluate the context of the HSE cyber incident is EIDIP, extension of IDIP, to incorporating traceback and dynamite phases, enabling investigators to trace the original of the attack across the network. So for HSE, this is a very relevant attack. Involve external threat actors and international cybercrime elements. This slide shows how each key stage of a digital forensic investigation is a map to the phase of the EIDIP model. First, readiness. In EIDIP, readiness phase focus on preparing the organization before an incident occurs, including governance, resource, tools, and procedure. Therefore, the readiness key stage directly align with the readiness phases of the model. Preservation, deployment, and dynamite phases. Preservation spans across the deployment and dynamite phases. During this phase, digital and physical evidence is secure and protect to prevent alteration or loss. Next, identification, deployment phase or detection and notification. So identification is carried out during the employment phase of EIDIP, where in accident are detected and relevant parties are notified. This phase enables early recognition of digital accident. Then examination, digital crime scene investigation phase. The examination stage corresponds to the digital crime scene investigation phase, where collected digital evidence is examined to identify relevant information. Analysis reconstruction phase. Analysis is performed during the reconstruction phase, where investigators interpret findings and reconstruct events to understand the incident in detail. Second last, reporting, submission, and communication phases. Reporting align with submission and communication phases of EIDIP, where investigation results are documented and communicated to the relevant stakeholder. Last but not least, review or review phase. The review stage maps directly to the review phase, which evaluate the entire investigation and identify areas for improvement. So this mapping shows that EIDIP provide a structured framework that fully support all key stages of digital forensic investigation. Next, this is the key stage that relate to the HSE cyber ransomware attack. First, readiness. HSE did not have a clear cybersecurity owner and incident response plan or sufficient security resource. This lack of readiness increased the organization's vulnerability to a ransomware attack. Second, identification. Although suspicious tools and abnormal activities were detected, alerts were not properly escalated or handled, allowing the ransomware to be executed. Third, preservation. Systems were disconnected and powered down to prevent a further spread of the malware and preserve digital evidence for investigation. Fourth, collection. Forensic image, system logs, and malware samples are collected mainly with a support of third-party incident response specialists due to limited internal capabilities. Fifth, examination. Digital forensic experts examine the collected evidence to identify how attackers access the network and the tools used during the attack. Next, analysis. Investigators reconstruct the timeline of the attack and assess its impact, which showed that approximately 80% of HSE systems were encrypted. Next, reporting. Investigation results were documented and communicated to HSE management and government authorized to support recovery and decision making. Last but not least is review. The entire incident was reviewed to identify weakness in cybersecurity readiness and to recommend improvement for future incident response.
Next, for the recommendation, it's aimed to improve the effectiveness of digital forensic practice in context of the case study under review. All the recommendations are taken into account in the international guideline. With a world that increasingly depends on technology, digital evidence play an important role in the criminal investigation process. Number one, strengthening standard operating procedure (SOP). A clear SOP ensures digital evidence is handled consistently and legally. Every step of evidence collection must be recorded, including who handled it and date, time of transfer, and storage method. SOP also function as equally control, so all forensic officers follow the same protocol. Without a clear SOP, evidence may be rejected in court. Second, training and expertise development. Continuous training is important for digital forensic officers to stay updated with cyber threat, technology, and legal requirements. Proper training helps officers identify attacks such as DDoS and handle digital evidence correctly. Without training, evidence might be mishandled and rejected in court. Therefore, organizations must provide regular technical, legal, and ethical training to ensure professionalism and reliability. Third, use authentic equipment and software. Using authentic equipment and software that meet international standards is important to ensure digital forensic evidence is reliable and accepted in court. Unauthorized or unattested tools can cause evidence to be questioned or rejected. For example, forensic imaging must preserve the integrity of original data. Therefore, organizations must invest and improve technology, regularly check equipment, and ensure officers are trained to use it. This strengthens trust, professionalism, and the integrity of forensic investigation. Integracy cooperation. Integracy cooperation is important to ensure digital investment runs smoothly and evidence is properly understood. Poor communication between agencies can lead evidence to be lost or misprint. In large-scale cyber attack, cooperation between technical experts, policy, and court is important to accurate evidence collection and analysis. Therefore, better information sharing, clear communication, and joint training are needed to improve investigation speed and evidence accuracy. Lastly, periodic audit and evaluation. Periodic audit and evaluation are important to ensure digital forensic procedures remain effective and up to date. Without regular review, outdated steps and tools can weaken the investigation. For example, audit may reveal obstacle data recovery software that cannot detect hidden funds. Regular audit help identify weakness, ensure compliance with international standards, and continuously improve the quality of investigation. This also promotes accountability among forensic officers and encourages consistent best practice. This helps maintain credibility and public trust in digital forensic findings.
To conclude, the cyber attack on Island Health Service Executive clearly show how vulnerable healthcare systems are to the cyber threat. The incident revealed weaknesses such as poor cybersecurity governance, limited centralized monitoring, and also continuing reliance on outdated systems. It also proved that the digital forensic readiness is not just a technical option, but a critical requirement to ensure service continuity and protect the patient privacy. To address this issue, healthcare organizations must implement structured forensic framework like EDIP, strengthen standard operating procedure to provide continuous training for staff and improve collaboration between agencies. Ultimately, integrating modern systems with proactive cybersecurity measures is essential to reduce future risks, prevent major losses, and also safeguard public safety.